Well, an estimated 1.4 million people have been displaced in Gaza, which has been under intense bombardment from Israel after Hamas launched a terrorist attack.
Israeli airstrikes hit a house in central Gaza Strip Sunday afternoon. Reports say at least 6 people were killed. The injured are rushed to the hospital as neighbors and medics dug to find survivors. In Rafah, in southern Gaza, many homes were also hit by Israeli strikes.
10 houses were destroyed, with children between 2 and 5 years old. Were they fighters? If they're looking for fighters, they're on the borders, not in safe zones.
Israel has stepped up its bombardment of Gaza, saying it's hitting targets connected to Hamas terrorists and other militant groups.
To the residents of Gaza City and north of Gaza City, you see that we intensified our attacks and we will continue acting like that. So move south.
A request many have heeded, but even the south isn't safe from Israeli strikes. The UN says over 60% of Gaza's population has been displaced, and many are taking refuge in camps like these, lacking basic facilities. Civilians face widespread shortages of clean water, fuel, medicines, and food. In the southern city of Khan Yunis, people have to wait for hours to buy bread.
We've been here at the bakery's door since dawn. Only God knows our suffering. If the situation continues the same way for 2 or 3 more days, it will be a catastrophe in the Gaza Strip. Children are starving. We ask all countries and nations to look at us with some humanity.
Trucks carrying basic supplies have finally reached Gaza from Egypt, but the aid falls far short of what is needed.
The most urgent needs at the moment are fuel, water, food and medicine. Why fuel? Because fuel is used to produce water in Gaza. There is no drinking water in Gaza, and fuel is used to run the desalination plants. So it's very, very, very important. And so far, no fuel has been allowed into Gaza.
And without more urgently needed supplies, the humanitarian crisis can only get worse.
And for more on that agreement to let more aid into Gaza, I spoke to DW's Tanya Kramer in the Israeli city of Ashdod near Gaza.
Well, I mean, aid has been trickling in now on Saturday and Sunday, but as we heard in the report, it's far from being enough to cover the needs of the 2.2 million people living in Gaza, the civilian population. So we understand that there has been another phone call between US President Joe Biden and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In the readout, it says that they agreed to allow the continuous flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza. It's not specified how much that would be, how often that would be, and what it would be. There's still a dispute about fuel as well, because that is needed. Of course, hospitals are saying they're running out to operate their generators, but also, of course, generators are needed to operate water pumps, etc. So this is very much needed. So that has not been coming in because for almost 2 weeks, we're now going into the 3rd week of this war. All the border crossings had been closed. We also understand there's significant opposition in Israel by some of the groups from the far right. We've heard that they don't want any humanitarian aid going in as well, from some of the families of the hostages that say there should be no humanitarian aid going in if there are no hostages being released.
And indeed, this is all taking place across the backdrop of Israel's military increasing its strikes on Gaza. What has the Defense Ministry been saying about the next phase of the war?
Well, army officials here have been saying that they intensify the already very massive campaign of airstrikes on Gaza, and we've seen this also from Sunday onwards. we are still waiting, everybody is still waiting for the ground offensive to happen, that troops go in. There has been an incident on Sunday where apparently some Israeli soldiers went inside Gaza. One soldier was killed. The Hamas, militant Hamas group, military wing, the Qassam Brigade, said they ambushed them. So this is certainly of concern to the Israeli army. There have also been calls to people in the north of Gaza, again, those who have been staying there, to leave and go to the south. This is very controversial, obviously, because people are saying, whether we go to the south or we're staying in our homes, we don't want to be displaced, because there also have been massive airstrikes in the south, on Khan Yunis, on Rafah, on other places. So it's not safe to go there. This is what people there are saying. And we also heard from the defense minister, Yoav Gallant. He said, a ground invasion could last for 1, 2 or 3 months, but the end goal would be that there's an end to Hamas, but of course nobody talks about the political implications. What will Gaza look like, what it means on the political terms.
Now, on Sunday, Netanyahu visited troops stationed near the border with Lebanon. Can you tell us a little bit about what the situation is like there?
Well, also there, the situation has been seeing more cross-border fire between the Lebanese Shiite militant group Hezbollah, but also other militant Palestinian groups there, anti-tank fire, missiles, and Israel has also been responding to that. So there is a lot of concern that there might be another front opening there. At the moment, it seems to be kind of contained, if you can say that, but the cross-border fire has been intensifying there as well. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has now issued again yesterday a stern warning to Hezbollah that it would be a mistake if they would seek to enter a war. But of course, military correspondents here are also saying, there could be a miscalculation. This is intensifying over the past days, and something could happen out of there. Israel could also opt to have a preemptive strike. So we don't know what the strategy is there, but we also understand that, again, Israel has called on more communities in the south, in the north of Israel, to evacuate towards the center of the country.
Tanya, thank you so much for reporting. That is Tanya Kramer for us there. And we're now joined by Israeli military spokesperson Peter Leonard. Welcome back to DW. We understand the IDF has intensified its airstrikes on Gaza. Can you tell me how many targets you have hit in the past 24 hours and how that compares to previous days? Give us a sense of the scale here.
No, I'd like just to be a bit more accurate. We are intensifying our attacks on Hamas, the terrorist organization that launched war against Israel on the 7th of October. Indeed, we are conducting hundreds of strikes every day against the infrastructure that they have positioned, pre-positioned, and embedded within the civilian arena, putting the entire population of Gaza at risk. We are continuing to call to the people of Gaza, and specifically the northern Gaza Strip, to evacuate towards the south in order to try and keep them out of harm's way while we root out Hamas.
So in these strikes that the Israeli army has been carrying out over the past 2 weeks, what impact have they had on Hamas's capabilities?
Indeed, we see Hamas in a state of disarray. We see them in a situation where they have no idea what is going on. Mostly because they are hiding, they are cowards, they are hiding, and they are trying to sacrifice the people of Gaza. We are destroying the command and control positions. We are killing their terrorist leaders and targeting the leaders who perpetrated, planned, and executed the attack of 7th of October. And it is showing itself, and we are seeing a decline in their ability to launch rockets against us. And indeed, we have a full intention to destroy Hamas's capability and making sure they can never, ever use the Gaza Strip as a staging ground for attacks against Israel and the people of Israel again.
Now, the Palestinian Health Ministry says at least 4,600 people are dead, 3 times as many wounded. How many of these were Hamas militants?
Hamas's propaganda Ministry of Health says that. We need to be very, very cautious at accepting, I would say even relying on any sources coming out of Gaza, specifically Hamas's ministries. So I won't suggest that there is any reason to actually comment on what Hamas is saying. Indeed, we are conducting strikes against Hamas.
Do you have a different number for us?
No, I would not even comment on that number. I would say there is a reality on the ground in Gaza where Hamas has pre-positioned its capabilities within the civilian arena. When they put explosive drones on the roofs of housetops, they are jeopardizing those housetops. We are operating within the realm of the laws of armed conflict. We are calling for people to evacuate areas to get them out of harm's way as a temporary measure. And Hamas is trying to keep them in harm's way and sacrifice them.
Okay.
So while you weigh on and accept for face value what Hamas is telling you because of these numbers, we need to be very, very cautious because this is an organization that has no problem in butchering babies in their bedrooms. So why would they have a problem in lying to the world media?
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you, Peter Leonard from the IDF.
Good day.